Hello there, friends. Today's March 22nd, 2024, and today we're going to take a look at 4 different PSA 10 rookie cards. We take a look at a Wembanyama, a Doncic, a Giannis, and a Holmgren. We're going to decide what all of these cards are worth. We'll take a look at recent comps, establish first, second, third offers, fair value, and what I personally would be selling the card for. So let's dig in on this. As you can see, we do have quite a few numbers down below that we will get to for every single one of these cards. On the right-hand side, we can see the 15 most recent comps. These are all auctions that were taken off of eBay. I only do auctions, no buy it now, no best offer. I like to see the bidding happen back and forth. And this Wembanyama is actually going to be the 2023 Prizm. So card number 136 is what we're looking at. As you can tell by the graph, we've got a relatively tight graph, swinging about, well, let's call it 40% from low to high. So 305 the low, 430 is the high. I'm actually very surprised that we're seeing these lows down here, not because I expect them to go for more. I just expect this to be a tighter graph. So we'll see how this plays out down below. At the top right-hand side, you can see the PSA submission rate here. 1,558 have been submitted. 949 have been coming back as a PSA 10. That's a whopping 61%. So yes, if you get this card, get it graded. I think that's what those numbers certainly say about it. Down below here, we do have various colors that we need to address. This blue number is the average bid price it took in order to win one of these cards at auction. So you can get yourself a PSA 10 card number 136 from Panini Prizm 2023 for $374.65. Next to that, you've got the average shipping price, $4.29, giving you an all out the door price of $378.95. Okay, now these numbers are not what I would consider to be fair market value for the card because you have to take into consideration that sellers have fees. And also, when you're shopping, when you're out there at a card show or a card shop, what they'll oftentimes do is pull up these recent comps. And they'll say, see, well, we've got 3 of them, 3 most recent, they're averaging 375. Make sure you point out that they're not taking in consideration that the sellers have fees. That's how you can instantly save some money when you are trying to barter. Now, 324.71 is what that number comes out to after you subtract the fees from this blue number. So that is what I consider to be fair market value right now. As far as stoplight offers, I've got 70, 75, and 80% offers here. 262.26 is a 70% offer of the 374. $280.99 is a 75% offer of the blue, and an 80% offer is $299.72. Now, that's an 80% offer. Normally, that would be my hard stop right there at that $300 mark, but let's also take a look and see what gets us into the bottom third of sales, because I think that is also very important. So we're going to sort this ascending, and then we're going to drop down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like 305.93 gets us into the bottom third of sales. Now keep in mind, like I said, this is all for PSA 10s. So we don't really have to worry about the quality of the card because the quality of the card has already been determined. So for me, I'm not going any more than this 80%. So yes, this 305 certainly is a little bit above that 80%, but I think that I can find one for 300, especially if somebody is willing to, is interested in just sort of letting some inventory go. I would love to get in closer to this yellow, but realistically right now with how hot Wembanyama's cards are, that 80% might be where you need to be at. In order to sell in the top third, which is where I also like to be, I can go to the bottom here and go up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 338.89 would be what I would mark this card as, or we'll call it 340, right? Just because we like those even numbers. So I'd be selling it hopefully for 340. That amounts to a 391 buy it now for that 338. Simple, straightforward, easy, right? So fair market value 324. I'm not going any higher than this 299.72, and I'd like to mark it at 338. Let's move on to the Doncic. This is 2018 Prizm rookie card. Actually, all of these are going to be Prizms, so I thought that would be important to compare side by side all of the Prizms. Card number 280, as you can see, very tight graph as well. We did have one outlier in that 278, so keep that in mind as well. But everything else is kind of right in that 220 to 240 range, which likely means that our stoplight offer is going to be above the 80%. Let's take a look down below. PSA submissions, 37,323 so far, and 19,935 have been coming back as a 10. That's a 53% rate. That is a ton of cards, obviously. A lot more than the Wembanyama, but I'm assuming there are a lot of Wembanyamas that are sort of stuck in the queue right now with that big influx of cards that they had from new releases. As far as the blue today, we've got 239.34, which is significantly less than the Wembanyama. But again, there's a lot of these cards out there. Average take home for sellers is 207.32, and an 70% offer is going to be 167.53. Let's take a look and see where we might be landing to get into the bottom third of sales. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 204. Even gets us into the bottom third of sales. Again, that is significantly higher than that 80%, approaching fair market value, and that is precisely what happens when you have a tight graph with everything kind of falling in line. So that is to be expected. So for me, I'm still going to sit hard on the 191.47. Again, hoping that's my last offer. I'm still going to go through my steps here, offer a low, and find a way to hopefully stay less than this 191. If I want to ask for the top third, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 210.94 gets me into the top third of sales, and that's why I think it's important to stick to your guns on that 80% offer and hopefully find somebody who wants to turn a card over. Although I will say this, with how insane this young man is playing right now, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get in on that 80% price point, but it's worth the game. It's part of what we need to do if you want to get a good value out of your purchases. That 210.94 also equates to a 243.50 buy it now or minimum bid. Giannis is up next. We've got the 2023. Well, that's not right, is it? My goodness, that is definitely not going to be okay. So we are going to change that. Next up, we've got the 2013 Giannis. This is card number 290. Once again, we're talking Prizm as well. As you can see, this is the tightest graph we've seen thus far. Yeah, pretty great, actually. Pretty predictable. You might have noticed I changed the year. I had 2023 there. Just a little bit of a flub, but we fixed it. We started over on this part. So we've seen 4,904 submissions. 3,012 have come back at a 10. Again, a 61% rate of return for PSA 10s. Pretty impressive. But 3,012, what was that? Yeah, almost 20,000 Doncic. I'm actually surprised that this card is so low, truthfully. 608.46 is your average bid price on eBay to win one. 527 is going to be average seller take home. 425 is first offer. And again, let's see what bottom third gets us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 520, 19. Again, really tight up against that fair market value. Again, you've got your 70, 75, 80%. I'm hard stop at 486 on this card. And to get into the top third of sales, 528.88, or a best offer of, a buy it now of 610 on eBay. What I'd be asking for. So, yeah, again, with that few as far as PSA 10s are concerned, I'm surprised that this isn't significantly higher when you've got 7 times as many of the Doncic's. That just shows you how hot this card actually is right now. So much volume out there, still meriting a $240 average bid price is pretty crazy. That would amount to what? Almost a $1,400 if you had the same percentage kind of change. Probably $1,300, $1,400 for this Giannis. But as is, again, 46 is what I am offering. And we've got our Chet Holmgren. So this one, as to be expected, has a bit more of variety to it as far as demand is concerned. A low of 59 all the way up to 86 for the high. We might be able to get closer to that 80% offer at the bottom third. PSA submissions relatively low, 1565. 709 and PSA 10 coming in the lowest of the four as far as the rate of return, 45.3%. Average price point, $67.22. Take home for sellers, $58.01. First offer, $47.05. And the bottom third of sales gets us $52.62, right beneath that 80% mark. For me, that is my new final offer, $52.62 is all the higher I will go on this card to sell in the top third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking for $58.69. I will be honest with you, this is the card I'm after right now. Obviously, a lot of steam behind the young man. He's kind of being overshadowed by the emergence of the great Wembanyama. But I think value-wise, getting a PSA 10 for $54 is pretty good. And he has a lot of potential in this league. His skill set's great. His defense, obviously he's huge. And so hopefully we can see him grow into this league and maybe kind of go head-to-head with Wemby for years to come. So there you have it. That's what all of these cards are worth. We've got Wembanyama fair market value, $324. Doncic fair market value, $207. Giannis, $527 fair market value, and Chet Holmgren, $58.01. These are all for PSA 10s, so your consistency across the board is pretty well taken care of. Hopefully this helps you decide what your card is worth or what the card you got your eye on is worth. Take care, my friends.